Hey there, welcome along. Thanks for coming and joining me here. Let's talk weight loss. And today I thought I'd get out a trusty board and do a pretty simple graph for you. And just trying to illustrate essentially why diets or dieting does not work over time. So, yes, we might get results in the short term, and they are generally pretty short term. What we're looking for, though, is long term. And what I've managed to enable clients of mine to do over the years, people I've advised and helped, is enable them to be lean for life. And that's the difference. So this is essentially a quick, maybe 6 minutes or so, on why dieting or diets do not work. So let's try and have a go at this. So it's pretty rough and ready. So let's put a graph up here for you. I hope you can see that. So as I say, rough and ready graph. So what we've got here is time. Now, this is any length of time, but essentially this is a lifetime. This is not looking at a couple of weeks or a couple of months. This is looking at decades. This is looking at us through a lifetime. And what we've got up here then is, I'd like to say weight gain, but we need to be better than that. And I would suggest that this is our body fat percentage up here. Okay, so these are the two key factors, because we have to remember having good weight is not an issue. When our weight is made up of muscle, bone, water, internal organs, that's great. But where our weight begins to become dominated by body fat, that's not so healthy. So essentially, when we are looking at a diet or going on a diet, we should be looking to reduce our levels of body fat, but that's not what always happens. When we go on a diet, unfortunately, we are hopefully losing some degree of body fat, but very often we're also losing muscle mass as well. So let's look at the graph anyway, see how it works out through the course of many decades, a lifetime if we can. Essentially, we're all going to be putting on some level of body fat over time. And at some point, this gets to a figure where we actually feel we need to intervene. And we would like to be lighter than we were. We'd like to lose weight. So we get onto a diet, and we do indeed lose some weight. And at some point, because diets are pretty restrictive and difficult to deal with all the time, we start eating normally again, whatever that might be. We start bringing back into ourselves foods that we had omitted for a while because psychologically, emotionally, we have a need to do that. So unfortunately, we start putting on some more weight. At some point in the future, we get fed up with that, so we try and lose some. We go on a diet. We then put some more weight on, diet, take a bit off, more weight, and so on and so forth. And I don't think there's any secret in this pattern that this is essentially how this works for us. And the biggest single factor for this is that when we lose these areas of weight, we're not really accounting for what this weight is made up of. We're not sitting there going, right, well, I know for a fact that when I lose this weight, this is definitely body fat, or this is definitely water, or whatever it might be, because we don't track it very well. We go down to organizations and we get ourselves weighed, and they say, hey, you were this in kilos or pounds, and you're now this. It doesn't take into account anything at all. So what happens here is, yes, you might lose some body fat, but you'll definitely be losing some muscle mass as well. And that's the real killer for us. The more muscle mass we lose, the easier it is for our bodies to increase our levels of body fat over time. The only part of our body that helps us keep our body fat off are our muscles. So this is not about bigger muscles, and that's always a scary conversation to have with female clients. This is about simply making our muscles more efficient. So essentially what's happening here over time is, if your muscle mass is somewhere, wherever that might be, every time you diet, you're then losing a bit of muscle mass. So correspondingly, your muscle mass is decreasing over time, which doesn't really help you at all. And that's the biggest issue with going on a diet, is this loss of muscle mass over time. So we need to find a far better way of helping us be lean for life. And hence the problem with this is we talk about weight gain or weight loss. They're the wrong terms. So we need to be more specific and say, when we're going to lose weight, we want to keep our bone mass, we want to keep our muscle mass, we want to keep our water mass. The only thing we want to lose is body fat. So that's essentially a very, very simple representation of why diets in the long term don't work. It might work here for a holiday or for a special event, but it won't work over time. So essentially we need to change that whole system up and ensure that people understand, yes, we need to look at food, but more importantly, we need to look at our muscle efficiency. And that's not about building big muscle, it's simply about making the muscles that we have more efficient. The more efficient they are, the more they can utilize our body fat, which is an energy store, as an energy source 24 hours a day. So I hope that's a good start for you. I hope that makes some sense. It's very rough and ready, but essentially this is how I talk to clients and people that I'm helping to advise all the time. We just draw these out, talk about them, and we input both ways. Okay, thanks very much for tuning in. Hope to see you again. I'll keep putting some more videos up for you. Thanks. Bye-bye.